Hi, I'm Annalyn Ridley, and we are here with Live at 5. I am so blessed that you joined me. This is a therapy for your soul. Therapy for your soul is focused, like the word itself says, and needs no further description on your soul. God has given us a spirit, He has given us a body, or we are a spirit and we live in a body and we possess a soul. And a lot of times it's the issues of the soul that trips us up. But God is faithful and good, and He always gives us a way of escape. And one of the ways of escape is to not be ignorant, to have understanding, to not just be naive, but to know what's going on, what are we facing, and how are we facing or tackling that specific issue. So today I want us to speak about transcendence. Our word for today and what we are speaking about is transcendence. So, transcendence is described as a state in which an individual is able to look beyond themselves, beyond their normal perspective, to adopt a larger perspective. Transcendence in psychology has to do with um, self we deal with self transcendence, and that has to do with us being able to from rise above a situation. Transcendence is the ability to remove ourselves from ourselves and to view our difficulties and our problems from a healthier perspective, from a little bit of a distance. So often we speak about the eagle's view, where you lift yourself out of the situation, and because you lift yourself out of the storm, out of the situation, and you view it from a little bit of a distance, you are able to see a little bit more of what is happening. You're able to then, because you're able to see and know more, you are able to make certain deductions that would be healthier for you and for me. So when we are able to remove ourselves from ourselves, we are able to learn a little bit more about ourselves. It's easy to learn from this person and that person, to read this person's autobiography or to watch the life of somebody as it is documented. But what about learning from yourself? And how do you do that? By transcending yourself. You remove yourself from yourself, so self transcendence, and you look at how you approach difficulties, how certain situations make you feel from a little bit of a distance. The reason we do that self transcendence is when we are in the thick of things, when we are in the storm, it is not so easy to see that land is just around us or in front of us. We are in the storm and the storm rages around us, and we don't have a healthy perspective. We fail to have a healthy view of what is the problem and what are our difficulties that we are facing. But when we are able to just say, let me take a step back and let me look at what is going on here. Let me look at why I react a certain way. Number one, what transcendence helps us with is to relieve or diffuse guilt. So we feel guilty about our reactions, we feel guilty about what we've done, and the guilt is very important because guilt gives us a sense of uh, knowing right from wrong. It gives us a conscience. Guilt is counterproductive when you are trying to grow, when you are trying to move on. So, what transcendence does is transcendence helps us to view difficulties prior to what has happened or incident, and difficulties after what has happened or what might come, so that we do not find ourselves trapped in difficulties that continue to hurt us. So it diffuses guilt. How does it diffuse guilt? When we look at the human condition, we know that we are simply people. And we are not people who live outside of a context. We live within a certain context. And in that context, there are certain elements that looks like a setup. It's like it has set us up for failure. It has set us up for life difficulties. And these things, even though it looks like you cause them, you don't always cause them. But if you are not aware of them, then you would go with the flow and life would become difficult. So let's use an example. If somebody has grown up in a household of domestic violence, the setup there for how relationships are formed, how the attachment style of a person is already formed during all those experiences. Now, when you enter a relationship, there will be certain things that subconsciously, as strong as a boat's rudder, direct who we connect with. And those things are not of your own doing, but when you find yourself in a life where you have constant difficulties and you see a lot of those patterns is repeated from the past, from somebody else's relationship in your life, um, then you take responsibility for that. But a lot of the things that we just take responsibility for and makes us feel guilty and disgusting and horrible and unlovable, unlikable, like failures in life, makes us feel anxious. These things come from some situation or from somebody else. And when you are able to take a step back and just view what could possibly have been the setup for you, what could possibly have led you to be vulnerable, predispositioned to take on certain difficulties or problems in life. Precipitating factors is what we call them. We call those precipitating factors. So again, we are speaking about transcendence. Our word is transcendence or self transcendence in psychology. And number one, we say it diffuses guilt. If we are able to transcend ourselves, because we are able to see the precipitating factors that leads to the trap up, the mistake, the difficulties, the issues, the faults. And the reason why we want to do that is we gain perspective. So if we can see what has led to the situation, what is the situation, and then we can now say, how do I manage you further, Emily? What do I do for you? How do I help you? What do you need? What are those issues that you struggle with, that you need help with, that you need to sort out, girl? You need to go and look at happening. So all helps with, even though it seems like it allows us to blame others. It's not about that. It helps us to take responsibility for our issues. It helps us to look at what do I do and how do I stop myself from doing that again. How do I approach life and how can I do it differently? What do I need so that I do not repeat and find myself stuck in the same old snares, the same old traps? I want you to be better. I want you to be happier. I want you to be a happy soul with a quality life. And we are going to leave it at that today. If we do not have any questions, then we're going to just leave it at that. And God bless you.